Hey guys, today we're taking a look at Mistermafu's Dark Magician Prophecy deck. Now I've actually had a variation on this deck type before, using Dark Magician and the Prophecy card in order to support him and bring him out. It was a pretty effective way to use him before. But there's some issues, but I can definitely see the potential of using a deck like this, and I'm going to go over all the cards and kind of talk about what he's doing with this deck. So he's going to be running 3 Dark Magician, obviously the star of the deck. 3 Skilled Dark Magician, helping him bring out Dark Magician another interesting way, and a beater on top of that. Skilled Dark Magician is a really great card just because he has really good stats on top of a pretty good effect. And then 3 Prisma, sending Dark Magician to the graveyard so he can activate certain things, so that can be pretty useful. And then 3 Temperance of Prophecy, obviously giving him easy special summons for Dark Magician or High Priestess, which is really nice. And then 2 Spellbook Magician, just searching at the spellbooks, which can be pretty nice. And then 2 High Priestess, obviously a very powerful card, definitely want to have access to something like this. And 1 World of Prophecy, obviously can do some crazy stuff on the field during the right situation, depending on your spellbook situation. So a little bit low on the monster count. I would say he could use a few more monsters. He does have a lot of high level ones, which is one of the things he said that he can run into issues with the deck, which it's tough to say what he can do about that because he has level 7s. He just needs to think about how he wants to run this deck. It's one of the issues with running kind of a hybrid deck using Dark Magician and Prophecies, because Prophecies are better off at supporting themselves rather than, the other stuff going on with this deck. So he kind of has like a monster count that's split in between what it's trying to do, which can be pretty difficult. So going forward, I'm not sure what he can do totally with the monsters. He might want to add in a few more monsters that can support, both things that he's doing, or just try to, go one route, which would kind of destroy his kind of deck type. So I don't want to completely suggest that, but that's just some issues he can run into when he's thinking about the monsters he has in the deck. For the spells, he's running 3 Spellbook of Secrets, obviously a staple to search out whatever he needs. 2 Spellbook of Power, obviously very useful in this deck. And then 2 Eye of Timaeus, so this gives him some interesting plays he can do with Prisma and Dark Magician, so it's supporting that part of the deck. But again, it's not helping him with the Prophecy side, so it can be a dead draw at certain times, which can be pretty annoying. And then 2 Spellbook of Master, again a very effective card to use whatever spellbooks you need. Grand Spellbook Tower, obviously the field card helping you recycle things and get what you need. 2 MST, also one of a lot of additional spellbooks. Spellbook Library of the Crescent can be useful to search out. Spellbook of Fate, obviously a very powerful card, that's why it's limited. Spellbook of Eternity can be helpful, obviously, when you're banishing things. Spellbook of Wisdom, might want to consider this at 2. It's actually a very powerful card in this deck type, but it's up to him. Spellbook of Life will be pretty useful. One of the ways he can use Dark Magician in the graveyard or get back High Priestess, so I think Spellbook of Life can be very powerful in this deck. And then 2 Spellbook Star Hall. This one I'm not actually a big fan of. I just think it's too slow, and I don't think the attack bonus is really too helpful in this deck because you're, destroying things or XYZing. I just don't think it's. I'm not really a big fan of it overall, but it's what he's running with. It's up to him. He's also running a few stable traps: Bottomless, Torrential, and Solemn Warning. Not much room for traps in this deck because he's running, so many spellbooks to support the archetype. So he might want to consider Royal Decree, because if he's running this low of a trap count, it might not be worth it to just run those staple traps when he can just lock down, all the traps on the field. So now for his extra deck, he's going to be running Amulet Dragon and Dark Paladin. Both can be very powerful in this deck. Amulet Dragon will get pretty good bonuses because of all the spellbooks, so they're very powerful. Again, it's difficult because he can only use Dark Magician and Prisma, but Prisma is very quick and allows him to make those plays very easily, which is pretty nice. For the XYZs, he's going to be running Hierophant of Prophecy. Obviously can be a very powerful card in this deck. Dracossack, Big Eye, San Honor, Exton. A lot of the ones you expect to see. Daigusto, because you have Dark Magician, and Recycling can be nice too. Diamond Dire Wolf can be useful. Downward Magician, an interesting one that was, I wasn't sure when this was added, not too long ago, but I could see the power of it in some situations. Gagaga, because of a Spellbook Magician, he's running Herald and Gachi Gachi. Might not really need that because he only has, 2 of them. You might want to consider running 3 stars in case, because he has Temperance, but Temperance can also special summon things, so not really a big deal there. But he can also have access to more rank 4s or rank 7s if he wants to. So overall, I like the deck idea. Like I've said, I've been using a variation on this deck before. I think that if you want to run Dark Magician, this is a pretty good way to run it. But the problem is the deck types tend to run in each other's ways. You end up having a lot of high level cards You might want to consider, if you really like Dark Magician, to just take out the higher level prophecies and just focus on Dark Magician. Um, you should probably have more ways to bring them out. I'd really recommend Magical Dimension because it won't run in the way of what you're trying to do, and it'll bring him out pretty easily. He won't be as dead. So that's one card I'd recommend. I'm running that in my Dark Magician deck. Might want other ways to protect those powerful monsters like Forbidden Lance. Like I was saying, Royal Decree to lock down traps, because that can again run in the way of what you're doing, but you can also run more Spellbooks of Wisdom if traps are going to be an issue for you. So yeah, overall I like the deck, but it's just hard because I really think a Prophecy deck will run better than this, and I think a full-on Dark Magician deck might have, better ways to run additionally. So if you want to run this hybrid, you can do it, but you have to know that that is out there, that these decks kind of can support each other because they're spellcasters, but overall they will support themselves a lot more. Prophecies are very quick and run really well with all their cards and all the spellbooks that they need, and Dark Magician can be supported by a lot of other cards that won't necessarily help what the prophecies are doing. So thank you to Mistermafu for the deck submission. If you guys have any decks you want me to take a look at, you could send me a deck list, hit me up on Twitter, send me a message, something like that. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.